At the end of 2024, we finally get season 2 of Squid Game, and it's been a long time waiting for this.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's been like 3 years, right? I feel like the first season of Squid Game was everywhere in 2021.
I think it was a major cultural force, partly because it fueled a lot of memes, and that is how pop culture entertainment tends to transcend its initial audience. I think about how The Matrix set trends over, I think it was like 20 years ago, along with the Lord of the Rings series from Peter Jackson and his crew. And the Marvel MCU movies had a 10-year run from 2008 to around 2019 that defined an era. And then there's Arcane and the Spider-Verse films, they set trends for animation. I'm sure there's plenty of other titles that had influence, including Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. But Squid Game Season 1 fits somewhere in there, and I think it also ties in with the wave of Korean entertainment that took over streaming, whether it's K-pop with BTS and Blackpink, or K-dramas through Netflix. Squid Game premiered at the right time and captured the zeitgeist of its time.
But now it's 3 years later. Is Squid Game even relevant anymore?
Well, I think it hinges on if the audiences get hooked on the characters and how the story explores themes through their arcs. I don't think we get the same sense of surprise and spectacle that we got with Season 1. At that time, many of us were fascinated by the games showcased in those first episodes, like Red Light, Green Light, and Delgana. The visuals for these games were fodder for memes. With Season 2, the story picks up a few years after the end of the first film, or the first season, and it surprised me how this season highlights themes of self-delusion and irrational thinking that humans will adopt to justify their goals.
We should recap the story, though, just to bring everyone up to date. I mean, we know Gi-hoon was not going to America at the end of Season 1 to reunite with his daughter.
Yeah, okay, so Season 2 kicks off with Gi-hoon using the money he won to run an operation to find the businessman playing the envelope game because he thinks that the key to tracking down the island where the games took place is going to be there, as well as confronting the frontman. Gi-hoon hires local thugs to assist him, and they find the businessman. So Gi-hoon reunites with a cop, and they form a team with some mercenaries. Our main protagonist, Gi-hoon, is taken to the island to re-enter the games, and he hopes his mercenary team will recover him, but that plan goes sideways. So the rest of the season is basically Gi-hoon trying to take down the games from the inside with new characters. And the best part is actually seeing the frontman enter the game himself as player 001 and befriending Gi-hoon as an ally.
I loved that twist. Seeing Gi-hoon and frontman together in those scenes was tense because all of the subtext was playing out. I kept watching the frontman to see what he was thinking or how he was quietly plotting to undermine Gi-hoon's plans.
I think putting the frontman in the game was an effective writing choice because it helped distinguish the season from the first. There's this dramatic tension created by the fact that we, the audience, know something that the main protagonist, Gi-hoon, doesn't know. So that's a classic storytelling principle.
Another thing I noticed is that some people are complaining about how this second season seems like a filler season. Like the way it ends, and we know there's a third season coming soon.
That's something I picked up on as well, kind of like when Across the Spider-Verse came out and some audience members were upset when the film ended with a to be continued title card. But think about this, did audiences complain in the same way when The Empire Strikes Back ended on a cliffhanger? Or how about Back to the Future Part 2?
Well, I think social media makes more room for a lot of voices to express their opinions. So that's exponentially bigger than the conversations happening during the time periods of Empire or Back to the Future.
Good point. I think what I'm getting at is that there's a difference between a filler season or a movie versus a part 2 of a trilogy that has its own established arc that fits inside a larger story arc in the trilogy. Squid Game Season 2 doesn't feel like filler to me because it established dramatic questions at the beginning, specifically how will Gi-hoon take down the game with this new strategy? We clearly see him fail at the end of the season, so this is a natural conclusion to that dramatic question. We're left with the anticipation and the high possibility that he will take a new tactic and approach in Season 3.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm guessing you can only do so much with a part 2 or a season 2 because you can never fully answer every dramatic story, even with the best setup. There's always going to be even just a little bit of something that feels unresolved.
I think that could be some audience members projecting what they hope the story will do and deliver upon, but that isn't what the filmmakers or storytellers intended with how they set things up within a second season of Squid Game.
Well, it's really hard to please everybody nowadays. Everyone's a critic.